Hi, everyone. I hope that you are well. My name is Sequoia, and I use she and her pronouns. And I wanted to come on for our weekly Jupiter reading. This one is overdue, but I wanted to go back and make sure that I completed the month out. And so I decided to switch up the reading a little bit and incorporate some daily affirmations, which helps to center the reading. Um, One of the other things that I share, I'm a social worker, an intuitive energy reader, and also a yoga practitioner. Um, yeah, and so that information related to how we could potentially work together more is in the description box below. So let's see. For July 22nd, and the book that I'm reading from is Black Pearls Daily Meditations, Affirmations, and Inspirations for African Americans. Whoever you are, wherever you are that you're viewing this, these messages still apply. Okay, so for July 22nd, the word was reading/education. If I was not reading in the prison library, I was reading on my bunk. You couldn't have gotten me out of books. The Wedge, Malcolm X. We have our busy lives and many demands upon our time and energy. Besides, what can reading do to help us in our mission to strengthen and empower ourselves? Reading does not detract from our focus, but simultaneously helps to broaden and clarify it. We can search out nonfiction books that reflect our experience as African Americans, that offer nutrition, advice, or child rearing information. Novels can feed our souls. As each of us discovers the power of reading, our African American community is strengthened immeasurably. On this day, I will read the front page of the newspaper, read a magazine, or read a chapter from a book. So I I feel called to say and share. Um, I really enjoy reading. It is a pastime of mine. Um, I am definitely one of those persons that purchases a lot of books and have a lot of books in my library that I haven't read yet. But I like to surround myself with access to knowledge around a variety of different topics. Um, how this message is resonating for me right now feels like there may be some folks that are watching who might be into nutrition, or maybe thinking about culinary school, becoming a chef, even like intuitive eating. Um, One aspect from yoga that this brought up too is eating from the Ayurvedic kind of perspective. And so, um, within that practice, based on what type of um, person you are, meaning like Pitta, Vata, and Kapha, you can identify from that what foods you need to be eating more of that will help with balancing your energy. So, all of that is related to personality type, but then also being able to identify what type of food you need to eat more of based on what your personality is. So, if you're someone that's really interested in things like that, maybe this is a nudge or confirmation or even validation that you should definitely get into that. Um, One of the things that I also feel called to say, related to, besides what can reading do to help us in our mission to strengthen and empower ourselves, one of the major ways that white supremacy and capitalism attempts to cut us off from the things that we know is through not teaching history, accurate history, right? And so when we do our own research, when we read, when we choose to seek out um, history related to really anything, culture, area, wherever your interests are, you are resisting white supremacy, you're resisting capitalism, you're resisting patriarchy, you're resisting any system that chooses to separate you from that knowledge and history so that you are better equipped to handle and navigate the things that you need to within those spaces. Okay. I just want to pull, I got this really cute therapist deck that is really gentle. I feel called to, is this where I want to, okay, I want to end with this, but I want to pull from here really quickly. So yeah, that message of the more you educate yourself, the more you research, the more that you stay connected to like asking questions, not just listening to people and taking their word for things, critically thinking about the information that you're absorbing from any source, really, is super important. You know, we have been going through a pandemic, and one of the things that has become more accessible is just access to different knowledge, because everyone was pretty much, you know, isolated at home. Pleasure on the bottom of the deck. So we got contract. Can you see that? We got contract. We got the mediator. And then we got Capricorn. Okay. And then we have pleasure on the bottom of the deck here. There we go. That's better. Fifth house energy. We got fifth, seventh, and 10th house energy that may be significant to you. 5, 7, 10 may be significant. That number combination may be significant to you, either separately. The number 5, the number 7, and the number 10 may be significant for you. You may be a Libra, you may be a Capricorn. I see someone eating some red candy. Could be even an edible. All right. So what I get from these cards is the need for um, some downtime. I'm getting from the energy of these cards that you may be called to, or now you may be called, you may have been called to take some time out, maybe from the usual kind of practices that you have, something that feels, you know, creative, something that brings you joy, some type of entertainment. The other thing that I'm feeling like highlighting is, especially with pulling in that piece about reading and education, there may be some type of art or cultural events that are coming up within your area that you might think is cool. And so for you to check that out, right? For you to take some action around it. It will bring some grounding for you. Feels like it will taking up a hobby or thinking more about a new hobby or leaning into a hobby that you picked up and haven't done for a while. I have my knitting needles at a knitting project sitting here that I personally need to get back into. So I definitely feel like that resonates and may be a message for me. I'll say that I've been a little bit detached around just some of the practices that feel good for me. And so maybe this is a message to um, get back into those things, to not be fickle about it, to just pick it back up because it's a journey, right? As long as we don't stop, we just keep going. Contract. Yeah. What's coming up is just still a confirmation around needing to take time out. Like that's the energy that I get from this, even with the message from reading, right? Like when you take the time out to be intentional, sit down and read whatever it is, if it's a magazine, if it's a book, if it's listen to a podcast, this is something that you're choosing to do, something that you're choosing to opt into for yourself. And so it feels like, there has been maybe some new contracts that you signed or, something new that you agreed to do. And it is creating an imbalance with, you know, your work-life balance. And in order to bring more harmony into being balanced, you need to take some time out. And it doesn't have to be reading. Like I mentioned, I have my knitting sitting over here. It can be whatever you feel, called to, related to a hobby or just some type of practice that lets your mind quiet, slowing down, being able to be active, but still not active, not in a mentally heavy way, in a joyous, joyful, loving, childlike way, right? So I feel like that's the message around expansion, thinking more through work-life balance, thinking more through, places where you might want to receive additional kind of knowledge around. Maybe you have an interest in reading more on within the profession that you are in. Maybe there are some new innovations within your industry. And you may be working at a job where you don't necessarily need to know what those new innovations are within your field, but it may create a space for you to dream a little more and apply some of those things to that job in a way that feels more supportive. Okay, I'm gonna get you a last little message. Support your journey. Okay, we got, it says you are enough today, tomorrow, always. I never know if I'm in the you are enough today, tomorrow, always. What that feels like, especially around this message of, work-life balance, that taking time out is a part of you being successful and being able to have the energy to produce whatever that means for you related to your work, right? Like you have to take time out. If you're attempting to work on fumes, right, then your mood will be impacted. Your work ethic will be impacted. Your appetite will be impacted. Therefore, feeding into this cycle of maybe not feeling enough. Pour into your own self first in order to be able to show up in these other spaces. The other thing that I feel called to say too is, and this ties into capitalism, also white supremacy culture, makes you feel like you have to be producing, that the only way that you have value is based on what you output. You are enough today, tomorrow, always, regardless of the output, the production that you had today, tomorrow, and always. You are valued. You are valuable just by existing. Thank you so much. I hope that gave a little bit of encouragement, a little nudge around expansion for yourself, continuing to grow, have spaciousness related to yourself. There are a multitude of ways that you can continue to engage with this material. You can journal about it. You can write poetry. You can collage. You can do a vision board even. And so, yeah, I'll be better at doing these on a consistent basis. I really enjoy them. And will, again, just continue this practice. All of the information is in the description box below. If you would like an intuitive energy reading with me, or if you are in a state where I'm licensed, I can provide emotional support for you, or we can work together. If you are interested in yoga, I do have a few yoga clients. So yeah, more information about me and the services that I provide are in the description box below. But if not, I look forward to seeing you next week on a Thursday. Bye.